Hello. Thank you. What lovely people you are. Welcome to the Extensive Reading Language Learner Literature Awards. Thank you very much for coming. My name's Nick Timms, and I'm part of the Extensive Reading Foundation. This event is not possible without the sponsorship of publishers. Many publishers sponsor the Extensive Reading Foundation. However, in particular, we'd like to thank these people for this event and their support. Thank you. I would also like to introduce now Tom Robb, who is the chair of the Extensive Reading Foundation and is over here from Japan. Tom.
Thank you very much. I very rarely come to IATEFL, not that I don't want to, but in Japan, you might know the school year starts in April 1st, and so I'm basically tied to Japan. But fortunately this year, my school let me go, and I mean literally. I retired, and so I was free to come this time. Yeah, there's a strict age limit, and the only person that they've allowed to stay on past that, he won the Nobel Prize. And there isn't one for ELT, so I guess I'm out of the running. Anyway, I'm the chair of the Extensive Reading Foundation, and I'd just like to say a few brief words about what we do. The Language Learner Literature Awards, which we're celebrating tonight, started in 2004. So we're going on to, my maths isn't very good, 13 or 14 years now. And we've done it regularly every year. We have the books which go out to judges. They come back with 3 finalists. Then the finalists go out to teachers, and teachers then have them read by their students, and then they send in their evaluations, and the judges again decide on the winner from the 3 finalists at each level. And now it's my, oh no, before that, the other activities of the Extensive Reading Foundation. We're actively trying to promote extensive reading, and right now we are sending speaking tours, people on speaking tours of Indonesia and Vietnam, and we're concentrating in Southeast Asia actually, because that's the fertile ground for more activity in extensive reading. We have a website called mReader, which I designed, which has 6,500 quizzes for readers, which allows teachers to adopt extensive reading and not have to worry about tracking if their students have really read the books. So we have most of the extensive graded readers on that, as well as a lot of youth readers. And we have many other activities. If you go to our website, you'll get the URL on the literature, which you'll get on the way out, which has a list of all of the winners and finalists. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker. Jenny, you're awake? Jenny Bassett. Now, for more than a quarter of a century, Jenny has been writing, editing, and thinking about extensive reading, stories for language learners. She was a series editor until 2004 for the Oxford Bookworm series, and as such, she personally edited or authored 40 volumes of that series, including, what was it here? 3 who won the finalist, the winner, and 5 others who were finalists in it. So she is a real expert in how to write a good extensive reader, and I believe that's what you're going to be talking about, right? Jenny, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Extensive Reading Foundation Language Learner Literature Awards. Right, I've got over the first hurdle of those 3 L words. As some of you may know, I am passionate about storytelling. A good story, well told, can take students out of the classroom away from the humdrum acquisition of language data, and into a world where language is being used for one of its primary and elemental purposes, storytelling. So today, for a few minutes, before we get down to presenting awards to this year's crop of excellent stories, I'd like to give you my 5 rules for writing graded readers. Number 1, challenge the orthodoxies. Authors, be brave, be bold. Take the reader by the scruff of the neck with your stories. Think of what you're competing against for students' attention. Facebook, WhatsApp, Reddit, Qzone, Twitter, WeChat, Tumblr, Instagram, Snapchat, Taringa, augmented reality. Whatever that is. But I'm told it's a thing. It's hard to get students to do extensive reading. So the stories in graded readers must be engaging, compelling, stimulating, even controversial. Yes, even tapping into those taboo subjects of sex, religion, and politics. Now I can hear every publisher in the room sucking their teeth. No, we don't want controversial. We want to sell books, not offend half the planet. Of course, we writers don't want to upset or offend our readers or our publisher, like Miss Austen. But we do want to make our readers think and feel and respond. We don't want to bore them with bland and anodyne stories so that they react like Marcel Proust's teacher. An essay title to make the heart sink. Today, we all live in a bubble, our own echo chamber, or so we're told. And stories are one of the ways of breaking out of that bubble. The central function of imaginative literature, William Empson wrote, is to make you realize that other people act on moral convictions different from your own. And what better way, what safer way to learn about those differences than through the medium of fiction? Rule number 2, the forward tilt. This is all about structure, narrative structure. It's an amalgam of advice from 2 writers. John Updike said when he begins to write a novel, he tries to set up a certain forward tilt of suspense or curiosity. And in a graded reader, you want to set up that forward tilt and hook the reader in, ideally by the end of the first page. And then you need to keep it going, making sure the story has pace, momentum, and knows where it's going, so that the ending rectifies that tilt and completes that motion. And please don't leave the ending till last. Here is number 7 of Pixar Studios' 22 tweets on the rules of storytelling. Endings are hard. So get your ending working up front before you figure out your middle. And the second part of my rule number 2, the gun on the wall, comes from Anton Chekhov. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. If in the first chapter you say that a gun hung on the wall, in the second or third chapter it must, without fail, be discharged. And if you're not going to use that gun, it shouldn't be there. Chekhov's gun is all about narrative cohesion, a story's internal logic. Sorry, I'm losing track here. Everything in a story needs to have a function, needs to contribute to the whole in a way that makes sense. This doesn't mean that everything must have huge dramatic significance, but each part should relate to the whole in at least a tangential way. No irrelevant guns hanging on your walls, please. Sometimes authors agonize over the functional relevance of a particular scene or a character or a bit of dialogue. So then step back and look at your underlying narrative structure. It might have the classic shape of Freytag's plot pyramid, or it might have a slightly different shape, like this one, with a lot more bad stuff going in the middle. But whatever shape your story structure has, make sure you don't end up earning Philip Larkin's criticism of the classic formula of a beginning, a muddle, and an end. Rule number 3, the part that readers tend to skip. Try to leave out the part that readers tend to skip. Think of what you skip reading a novel. Thick paragraphs of prose you can see have too many words in them. We all do it, don't we? Long, dense paragraphs, and our eye skitters over them, looking for the next bit of dialogue. This advice is from Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules of Writing. And he goes on to quote a character from John Steinbeck's Sweet Thursday. I like a lot of talk in the book, and I don't like to have nobody tell me what the guy that's talking looks like. I want to figure out what he looks like from the way he talks. Dialogue and first-person narration bring a story to life when you're writing in a reduced code. Description of scenery and weather and things like that should be lean and terse and to the point, just like Snoopy. Remember Chekhov's gun. Everything in the story needs to have a function. Rule number 4, the power of words and the music of language. Words, mere words, Oscar Wilde wrote. How terrible they were. How clear and vivid and cruel. One could not escape from them. And yet, what a subtle magic there was in them. Someone once said that writing in a reduced code is like trying to box in a telephone booth. No, it's not like that. It's a fascinating challenge. It concentrates the mind wonderfully. It makes you look at both sides of every word, makes you examine denotative meaning and connotative meaning, and how you can use your linguistic toolkit to call up the schematic knowledge of your reader and draw them in to participate in your narrative. There are many criteria to keep in mind, of course: the age and linguistic level of your target reader, differences in educational background and cultural norms, but these are challenges to embrace, goals to achieve. I never like to use the words simplified language or simple language when talking about graded readers. Language is never simple. Think about these simple words for a minute. What do they conjure up in your schema of life and relationships? I bet all kinds of stories are now budding around the room. Some will be happy ones, maybe, with wedding bells and marital bliss and happy parenthood. Others might be darker, conjuring up dangerous liaison and unintended consequences, leading in time, doubtless, to the #MeToo. The writer's role in a graded reader is to lead the learner to a place where language is a thing of beauty, of power, where language is music. Of course, we must follow the language guidelines given, but we should not be bound by the soulless strictures of readability formulas, which assess reading difficulty, for example, on the basis of sentence length. This sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. 5-word sentences are fine, but several together become monotonous. Listen to what is happening. The writing is getting boring. The sound of it drones. It's like a stuck record. The ear demands some variety. Now listen. I vary the sentence length, and I create music. music. The writing sings. It has a pleasant rhythm, a lilt, a harmony. I use short sentences, and I use sentences of medium length. And sometimes, when I am certain the reader is rested, I will engage him with a sentence of considerable length, a sentence that burns with energy and builds with all the impetus of a crescendo, the roll of the drums, the crash of the cymbals, sounds that say, listen to this, it is important. That wonderful piece of writerly advice is from Gary Provost. And one last thing I want to say about language. The writer of a graded reader must listen to their own words, read them out loud, revise, listen again, revise. Most readers now are published with audio recordings, and your text will be the actor's script. The melody of your phrasing, the rhythm and balance of your sentences, the end weighting, the front weighting, the tone unit boundaries, the crescendos and the dying falls. Get these things right, and your text will come alive in the audio version and make perfect harmony with the printed word on the page or the screen. And now the last, positively the last thing about rule number 4. A rather lovely poem about reading, written by a 4th grader, given here with permission from his teacher. The beating of words in my head. I love that metaphor. So before I'm overtaken by overwhelming silence, rule number 5. The advice for any writer is to revise, rewrite, revise, rewrite. Ernest Hemingway said that the first draft of anything is shit. Not very elegantly expressed, but it's probably true. And Wilga Rivers wrote that an author is blinded by the knowledge of their own intentions. It's easy to get carried away, whether by plot or language or favourite character or stylistic trickery. So my last rule is taken from Dr. Samuel Johnson, that famous man of letters from the 18th century. Read over your compositions, and wherever you meet with a passage which you think is particularly fine, strike it out. Thank you. So, now on to the Language Learner Literature Awards for the winning titles of 2017. And the Very Young Learners category, the winner is The Bully. And all these titles, I have to say, exemplify all my 5 rules for writing graded readers, par excellence. Now, The Bully uses very limited vocabulary, but it shows the power of words to create a story that will resonate with children's own schematic knowledge. And the authors are Herbert Puchter and Gunther Gerngross, illustrated by Lorenzo Sabatini, published by Helbling. And are Herbert and Gunther here to receive their certificate? Great. Good, good.
Lovely, thank you so much.
Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
I would love to, thank you
Please
very
stand
much.
next to the microphone.
Lovely, thanks very much. Well, I would like to thank the Extensive Reading Foundation for the great work they're doing. I would like to thank the jury for choosing The Bully. Excellent choice, by the way. And I would like to thank the leadership at Helbling Languages for believing in this concept of the Thinking Train series, because it's actually a series of 10 readers aimed at developing not only reading skills but also children's cognitive skills. I'd like to thank Marion Williams, who wrote the thinking activities. I'd like to thank Maria Cleary for her work as an editor. I'm extremely happy and pleased with this, and I also have a little bit of mixed feelings because Günther Gerngross, my co-author on this, actually passed away in January. So this goes to Günther. This is dedicated to Günther. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And in the Young Learners category, the winner is School Adventures 3. These are 3 linked comic book stories with fast-paced action and using lots of dialogue. No parts that readers tend to skip here. And the authors are Jason Wilburn and Casey Kim, illustrated by Yawang Yung, published by eFuture. Have we got Jason and Casey here? No? Or somebody from the publisher? Lovely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes.
Stand here next.
Oh, okay. Hello, my name is Sue. I'm from eFuture, a publishing company based in Korea. We are specialized in publishing EFL material for young learners. We know how difficult it is to learn English and to teach English, so we want to make it fun and easy for students and teachers. That's why we developed this series. It's very fun and easy. Please have a look at the books. We have a stand over there. And we try our best to develop good quality material for young learners. And winning this award for 2 consecutive years, I think it's a good sign. So thank you very much. I'm very happy. Thank you.
The next category is Adolescent and Adult Beginner category, and the winning title is Sherlock Holmes, The Dying Detective. And this mystery certainly has a forward tilt and Chekhov's gun, neatly bound together in a clear, tight narrative structure. It's adapted by Leslie Thompson, illustrated by Giorgio Bachin, and published by Oxford University Press. Do we have Leslie here? Somebody from Oxford University Press? Right.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to say a word?
I'll say a few really brief words. Hi, my name is Andrew Dilger, and I work for Oxford University Press. Amazingly, I'm just about to move into the readers group, so I feel a bit of an imposter, but I'm delighted to pick this up on behalf of Leslie Thompson. But what I do know is an enormous amount of work goes into the production of a title like this, both by the author and the editor, and all sorts of other people that the average teacher and certainly the average student has no idea. So it's small, it fits into your handbag, but crikey, it packs a punch. So I will pass this on to Leslie, and thank you very much.
Adolescent and Adult Elementary category. The winner is Egghead. Another story about bullying. Is there a lot of bullying going on in the world at the moment? Can we think of any quite famous bullies? No, maybe. Anyway, this is an excellent first-person narration that makes it very easy to empathise with the main character. And the author is Michael Lacey Freeman, illustrated by Zofia Jasaska, sorry about my Polish pronunciation, published by Eli. I know Michael isn't here, but is somebody here from Eli to come and take the certificate? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Hello, I'm Simona Franzoni from Eli Publishing. I have a message from Michael. He couldn't be here. Gosh, I need glasses, but I pretend I can read this. Sorry. This award is very important to me. For some months, I slipped inside the skin of the young boy I once was. It's an autobiographical story. To tell a simple story of bullying and friendship. Since the book came out, I have been going to schools in different parts of the world to talk about Egghead. Every time I speak, I can see which kids are or were victims of bullying. They all ask the same question. Why? Why me? I hope with this story to have made my own modest contribution to answering that question. I would like to thank everybody at ELI for giving me the opportunity to write this story. In particular, I would like to thank the wonderful editorial team, Grazia Ancillani, Daniele Garbuglia and Paola Cattoli. And in fact, I'd like to thank the whole ELI team. It is a circle. It is the work of so many talented people that have helped to transform an initial idea into a book that I can now hold in my hands and be proud of. I would also like to say a special thank you to my daughter, Alice. It was her wide-eyed look when listening to me telling her stories. It was her voice, "What happens next, Daddy?" that accompanies me in every story I write. Alice, thank you for helping me to remember how wonderful it is to tell stories. Thank you very much.
Adolescent and Adult Intermediate category. The winning title is Rain, Rain, Go Away. This is a dystopian story with a big, bold theme. What happens in a world where there is not enough water? Lots of suspense and terror here. It's by Nicola Prentice, illustrated by Franco Rivoli, and published by Black Cat. Is Nicola Prentice here? Or somebody from Black Cat? Lovely, thank you.
I suppose I better use the steps like a professional board acceptance. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just a few quick words.
Yes, sure.
Rain, Rain, Go Away. First of all, thank you very much on behalf of Nicola Prentice, who can't be here, and Black Cat for this award. Rain, Rain, Go Away. I should also point out that I'm based in Glasgow. So this is something I'm very familiar with on a meteorological basis. For those of you who haven't yet read the story, I won't spoil it, but it is about, I would say, another bullying theme, political bullying. In this dystopian future, there is a water shortage. The clean water is kept by keepers who make the people believe that there is no clean water and that the rain is dangerous. And I thought if, within the scope of a group of us who, like many, believe that in literature we're allowed to make our own interpretations, I actually started reading it with my extensive reading head on, which I've always been very, very proud to be part of since I first met David Hill on a summer's day in Edinburgh at the Department of Linguistics in 1990. And I found ever since then, in all the countries I go to, passionately telling teachers, showing them as much as I can about books like Rain, Rain, Go Away, and how graded readers must be parallel, central to any curriculum design. And I feel that there are keepers out there, political ministries of education, who knows, from the top down, who are keeping all the good things to themselves for whatever reasons. And I'm so pleased to feel that we are a part of a community, and we're all winners if we are going out there saying that, you know, this extensive reading, these graded readers are like clean water, and it doesn't have to be kept for those who like reading, for which there is no money, and perhaps people feel there is no time. So it's a congratulations to all of us. Thank you for the award, but please keep telling the world what you do best, which is extensive reading is not an option. It is absolutely essential and parallel to any international ELT curriculum. Thank you very much.
And the last category, Adolescent and Adult, Upper, Intermediate and Advanced. The winner is The Merchant of Venice. No shortage of bold themes here. Racism, greed, the nature of justice and the power of love, and beautifully retold from Shakespeare's play by Claire West. It's illustrated by Thomas Girard and published by Oxford University Press. Well done, Claire. Hold the certificate there.
Writing graded readers is an absolute joy and a privilege. I mean, it's the way to help your students improve their language. I've always thought that all my classroom teaching career, and when I moved into writing graded readers is just the most wonderful thing to be involved in. So thank you very much for this award. It's a lovely thing to be doing, and you know that it's good for students. And the whole OUP team are so helpful. Rachel, Maddie, Ruth, and the great Jenny Bassett from the past. You can see how she's sort of set up the whole bookworms reading scheme. So thank you very much. Thank you for my award.
Well done, everybody. And I have to say that of the winners tonight, nearly all of them are multiple award winners. This is their second or third win of the Language Learner Literature Awards. So double congratulations. And now for the exciting announcements of the finalists for this year's 2018 LLL Awards. And here is a photograph of Mark and Corey in the Extensive Reading Foundation sending out the finalist books to 18 different countries on 6 continents. Now that tells you the reach that the Extensive Reading Foundation has now. This wonderful organisation that is stretching out its tentacles, its reading tentacles, all over the world. So, in the very young learners category, we have Granny Fix-It and the Viking Children by Jane Cadwallader, published by Ellie. It's Hot by Paul Shipton, published by Oxford University Press. Little Red Riding Hood, retold by Lisa Suet, published by Ellie Publishing. In the young learners category, we have Moulin, retold by Rachel Bladen, published by Oxford University Press. The Snow Tigers by Paul Shipton, published also by Oxford. And Nyangoma's Story, A Child's Life in Uganda by Jane Cadwallader, published again by Ely. In the adolescent and adult beginner category, Cinderella, retold by Lisa Suet, published by Ellie. The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse, retold by Dominique Guillemot, published by Ellie. Adolescent and adult elementary category, we have The Cave of the Jaguar by Sue Murray, published by ILTS Huber. The Boy with the Red Balloon by Silvana Sadi, published by Ellie. Tales from Camelot by Victoria Heward, published by Black Cat. Adolescent and adult intermediate category, Muhammad Ali by Jane Rollerson, published by Scholastic. Hope on Turtle Island by Paul Shipton, published by Oxford. A Single Shot by Scott Lauder and Walter McGregor, published by Helbling. Adolescent and adult upper intermediate and advanced category, we have Emma, adapted by Claire West. A Selection from Dubliners, adapted by Derek Sellen, published by Black Cat. And The Mill on the Floss, adapted by Michael Lacey Freeman, published again by Ellie. You will notice many of those names sound familiar. We have a wonderful stable of writers of graded readers now. So good luck to all those finalists, and thank you all for coming to the Extensive Reading Foundation's Language Learner Literature Awards. And I'll hand you over to Nick now.
Thank you so much. Jenny, I have nothing more to say except thank you so much for coming. And if you'd like to find out more about what the Extensive Reading Foundation does, there's the web address. Please come visit. Please get in touch. Thank you.
Good on time.